Welcome to 100 Days of Trailhead, where the tech community comes to learn Salesforce, learn tech, get inspired, and invest in ourselves. We are your trail guides, here to support you on your learning journey. We release videos weekly. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a video. In the description below, you can find links for everything we mention in this video, as well as books and resources we found useful. Visit our blog, 100daysoftrailhead.com, for other helpful Salesforce and tech content. Ever wonder what isn't tracked in the sharing object? Need some programmatic sharing tips? In this video, Nadina Lisbon discusses the nuances of programmatic sharing and how to apply it to internal and external access. Nadina started her career in 2014 as an intern at a startup focused on building a real estate application on Salesforce. With the need to learn and solve the toughest problems, she quickly accelerated to be the lead Salesforce developer at multiple companies. Today, she works as a system capability and Salesforce architect for Trailhead, holds numerous certifications with the goal of becoming a certified technical architect. When she is not hard at work, she enjoys hanging out at user groups, devouring knowledge in Trailhead, cooking, and spending time with her amazing family. Your quest, should you choose to take it, is to journey with us while we explore programmatic sharing. Your quest begins now.
Hello, my name is Nadina Lisbon. I work as a systems capability and Salesforce architect for Trailhead. I hold over 8 certifications, including the system and application architect, as well as the platform developer too. I'm a lightning champion, a user group leader, a rad coach, and an awesome member of WIT Devs. And today, I want to talk to you about my top 5 tips for programmatic sharing. If you've never done programmatic sharing or you're thinking about doing programmatic sharing and you want to know some of the tips and nuances, then stay tuned. My first tip. The associated sharing object exists based on the organization-wide defaults. In general, to have the sharing object, either the internal access or external access must be set to private or public read only. If both are set to public read write, then there will not be a sharing object. This goes for standard objects as well as custom objects. Tip number 2. Not all types of sharing are tracked in the sharing objects. The sharing object supports the following 3 types of sharing. You have the managed sharing, which is usually record owner or sharing rules. You have user managed sharing, which you might know as manual sharing, so sharing that record via the UI, and Apex managed sharing, where you write code and you do that sharing via the API. The following sharing is not tracked. So implicit sharing through organization-wide defaults, so that object is public read-write, role hierarchy, where you have access and the manager above you has access, and permissions such as view only and modify all. These types of sharing are not tracked in the sharing table. In fact, role hierarchy is actually the sharing is generated at runtime. My next tip. Not all objects will have an associated sharing object. So objects on the detail side of a master detail relationship. The access is determined by the sharing object of the master object. Activities and files. These objects do not support sharing and instead have their own access control mechanisms. And as I alluded to in my first tip, if both the internal and external defaults for that organization-wide default is set to public read-write, a sharing object will not be created. Tip number 4. Apex sharing reasons can only be defined for custom objects. So if you've ever written custom or programmatic sharing and you don't supply a Apex sharing reason, the default is manual. What will happen is when you set this Apex sharing up, and for example, you change the owner of that record, all manual sharing is removed. Because we didn't define an Apex sharing reason, or row cause will have a default of manual. So to mitigate this for custom objects, we will create these Apex sharing reasons. Currently, they can only be created in Classic and not in Lightning. So from Classic, if you go to Setup, Create Object, select the custom object. In this example, you'll see here that I'm talking about my custom object books. You scroll down to Apex sharing reasons and you click New. Then you'll see that you can decide to add your reason label and your name. This can be named anything, but you want to have these Apex sharing reasons set up based on the sharing that you're doing so that it's easier to track via your code. And last but not least, maintaining Apex sharing for standard objects. Currently, if you're using programmatic sharing on standard objects, there's no way to define an Apex sharing reason. So like I talked about before, that row cause will automatically be created with manual. And so as our record owner is changed, any manual sharing is removed, including our Apex sharing logic. So to mitigate this, in your Apex sharing logic, you would have to have it maintained for both insert and update when doing your logic. In summary, I discussed the associated sharing object exists based on the organization-wide defaults. Not all types of sharing are tracked in the sharing object. Not all objects will have an associated sharing object. Apex sharing reasons can only be defined for custom objects and maintaining Apex sharing for standard objects. Here are some of the references that I used. Definitely look out in the future where I talk not only about programmatic sharing, but the sharing architecture as a whole. Thank you.
And with that, we're at the end. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button so we know what content is most helpful to you. What did you learn about programmatic sharing? Comment below. We also want to hear about what topics you want us to cover in future videos. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you've made it to this point, we want to take an opportunity to say thank you. And since you've stayed with us, here's a bonus. There is a great course on Pluralsight covering Apex sharing called Salesforce Sharing and Securing Fundamentals. The link to this course is listed below in the description. Happy learning! Thank you for spending time with us. Please like and subscribe to our channel because we share weekly content to support your tech and Salesforce learning journey. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss a new video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. Connect with us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and on 100daysoftrailhead.com, all of which are listed below. Thank you for learning with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.